Hello everybody, and welcome to the introduction to the Yu-Gi-Oh! Duelist of the Roses tournament. It's me, Cooper, and I'm going to be giving you guys the rundown on who is going to be in this tournament, what teams they will be using, or, deck leaders, Yu-Gi-Oh! Monsters, and give you a rundown of their decks. So, see you in a bit as we figure out who our contestants are. The first contestant participating in the Duelist of the Roses tournament is my buddy Miguel. Miguel is an unstoppable force of a player. He chose the Thunder Yan Yan deck, otherwise known as the Thunder deck. He's full of electric monsters such as Thunder Yan Yan herself, some monsters that stun by flip effects, and of course his big boys, the twin-headed Thunder Dragon, his ultimate thunder monster. But he did more than just that. He was able to obtain more power through the Let's Play by getting the card Blue Eyes White Dragon. And through his Blue Eyes White Dragon, we were able to get him 3 more, and that got him his Ritual Monster and Ultimate Monster, the Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon. Miguel's deck is mostly based on just summoning big boys, fusing big boys. They usually have 2,800 to 3,000 attack points, and most of his deck is just high power. He doesn't require many fusions, he doesn't require many cards, he is all about that damage. However, he does have some tactics to his deck, such as the Thunder Yan Yan, which does, when she's in defense mode, she is able to let Thunder monsters move 2 spaces, no matter the conditions. They will be allowed to move 2 spaces. So by using her, he's been able to tactically defeat many opponents, and he is probably one of the strongest up-and-comers for this tournament. I don't know how he's going to do, but in my opinion, Miguel is someone to look out for with his powerful Thunder Blue Eyes deck. The next contestant in our series is Vidal. Vidal's deck is the Injection Fairy Lily deck, which is basically just a freaking harem deck. Vidal came out here, broke out a deck that was exclusively made out of women, but throughout the Let's Play managed to obtain many cards to buff these monsters. In that case, he got a lot of equip spells. He managed to get a lot of counter cards such as the Heavy Storm and Harpy's Feather Duster as well, making him one of the safest players in the game. Not only that, but he managed to obtain the Dark Magic Ritual, and with that we got him some Dark Magicians and the all-powerful Dark Magician Girl, and with these cards he is pretty much one of the most powerful people in the game. Dark Magician Girl's effect in this game is for every Dark Magician in your graveyard and Dark Magician Girl, she gains 500 attack points on flip. So he's unstoppable. That girl, with all the equip spells he got during the Let's Play and all the equip spells his deck got him, he is a beast. His one weakness would be that his deck only came with 0 field spells, which we gave him 1, but he only has 1 field spell in his deck, and that is a huge weakness in a game like this. However, given his effects, given his super powerful monsters such as the Dark Magician himself, Dark Magician Girl, and the all-powerful Mystical Elf, yes, he's basically running a Yugi deck, the Mystical Elf, when flipped, powers up all light monsters by a whopping 800 points, and he even obtained the Shield and Sword from Joey during the main Let's Play, so she can actually have 2,800 attack points on flip. This man is a beast and is someone you need to look out for in the tournament. Will he take it to the top? It's anybody's guess, but I think he can. Anyway, let's move on to our next contestant. Our next contestant entering the scene of our Yu-Gi-Oh! Duelist of the Roses tournament is none other than Wookie. Wookie, also known as Drunken Dragon Animation, is one of the fastest competitors you're going to see in this series. His Maiden of the Aqua deck has some of the fastest cards in the game, since most of them create water just by simply flipping. In other words, he is the one who determines where you fight. When you fight Wookie, it's in the ocean. Now, his monsters don't have the highest attack stats, but his boss, the Aqua Dragon, is something to be feared, because no matter where it goes, you are guaranteed to be fighting in the ocean. With this, he has a guaranteed stat of 2750, and that is not counting Wookie's equipped spells. Wookie did manage to obtain some interesting cards during the Let's Play, and some of these cards include the Soul of the Pure, which heals him by 2,000 life points, making him one of the only contestants in this series that can heal themselves. It is a freaking amazing spell, and not to mention, Wookie is also known for his Roaring Ocean Sea Snake, which also creates water on flip and battle. He also runs the Maiden of the Aqua, which buffs all his Aqua monsters while face up in defense mode, and he has his super, I would say, situational specific monster, ritual monster, I should say, Fortress Whale. Something like that, the Fortress Whale. Now this Fortress Whale only has 2350 attack, which does make it stronger than the Aqua Dragon, but its effect is a weird one. Anytime he fights a warrior type monster, he wins. It's a guaranteed win. And we do happen to have one person who runs an entire warrior deck in this Let's Play. So if he managed to fight that person and used only his ritual monster, he technically could destroy them. But given Wookie's incredible speed at getting to the opponent's deck leader and beatdown power of 2750, he is a person to fear. If the duels get a little bit elongated, Wookie will suffer, but as long as he's able to keep the flow of the battle in his control in the very early parts of the battle, he is unstoppable. Our next contestant in this tournament can be considered the biggest wild card there is. This man's name is Mario, and throughout the entire main series, he only won one battle. One recorded battle he has won. I am not joking, this man is the underdog of underdogs with only one win out of 40 battles. He is not even on the board when you really think about it, but that is not to count out his fairy deck, Air Knight Parasat, who is his strongest monster. And through the Let's Play, Mario managed to do something that none of us did, and that was level up his deck leader, his new deck leader, Battle of the Orion, or Battle King Orion, and make it so that they had a deck leader ability, which makes it so all fairy type monsters within one space around him, diagonal counts, gain 500 attack points. This is a super helpful deck leader ability, and he is the only person in the series to pull it off. He also managed to obtain some interesting spell cards such as the Paralyzing Potion, which will eternally spellbind some of his enemies. He has all three pieces of the Gate Guardian, which he can use to create the Gate Guardian himself as his ritual monster. A monster that is known as the second strongest card in the game base power, and it has a weird effect of it can't take battle damage, which makes no sense. You could still deal battle damage to your opponent, but it doesn't take battle damage despite its high attack stat. So he is a menace, but this goes against all of his fairy buffing cards. Most of his cards buff fairy or light monsters, including his mystical elf. Yes, he is somebody that uses the mystical elf, which buffs all light monsters by 800 points upon flipping. He has the Sangha of the Thunder, the piece of the Gate Guardian, and it is super powerful in his deck. But more than that, he has his Battle King Orion and Air Knight Parasat. Sitting at 1800 and 1900 attack, they are not the most threatening things, but when around his deck leader, they're at 23-24, not counting any equipped spells or mystical elf buffs that he applies to them. Mario, I would say, has some of the highest power, instant power gains that you can see in a person, because he can jump a card's attack stat by, I would say, over 3,000 in a single turn if he plays his cards right. He can be a menace, but in my opinion, he is probably the least tactical player and plays mostly with power. He just goes in. This man is not afraid of death, and death has found him many times. If you are voting for this underdog, or if you are rooting for this underdog, I wish you luck. Mario, I wish you luck in the series, and if you manage to pull off even one win, it will be the upset of the century. I can't wait. The next person I wish to talk about in this tournament will be me! I am going to be in my own tournament, obviously. I picked the Bird Face deck, otherwise known as the Winged Beast deck, during my Let's Play. And with my Harpy Lady Sisters, and Harpy's Pet Dragon, I have some of the most powerful buffing cards in the game. I also run Bladefly and Birdface himself, buffing my Wind Beast monsters and my Wind monsters by a high amount of points. I was able to obtain the Blue Eyes White Dragon during my Let's Play by getting a lucky jackpot. However, I traded the Blue Eyes White Dragon with Miguel, giving him the Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon and giving me the Red Eyes Black Dragon. With the Red Eyes Black Dragon, I was able to get Summon Skull from Panic during the main Let's Play. Not Summon Skull himself, but the cards needed to fuse Summon Skull, so now I have the ability to create the Black Skull Dragon, one of the strongest cards in the game and in my deck. Also, the Meteor Black Dragon, an even stronger card with incredible stats. My deck has a lot of different options in it that involve powering up my monsters. I could be one of the fastest or one of the slowest players in the game. The mid game is my territory. If the game goes on too long, I will get outscaled, but if the game goes too quickly, my opponent could wreck me if it was somebody like Wookie. However, my deck is one of the fastest and still pretty good in the late game. Mid game is where I am at my best, and I hope I'm able to obtain victory in my own gosh darn tournament. If I don't win my own tournament, I'm going to be upset. Rival Steven is going to be the next contestant appearing in our series. Rival Steven is known for his plant insect deck. Yes, he picked the Fairy King Truesdale during his Let's Play of Yu-Gi-Oh! Duelist of the Roses. And with this deck, he managed to obtain many interesting cards during the Let's Play. The cards he has now are the Perfectly Ultimate Great Moth, one of the strongest cards in the game, if not the strongest card in the game due to its ability of debuffing. He also has tactical cards like Gale Dolgra, another insect monster that, when face up in defense mode, can debuff the opponents by 100 points each turn infinitely. So just like the Perfectly Ultimate Great Moth, it can debuff, but it doesn't have many attack or defense points, so it does need to be protected. But Steven managed to obtain many tactical cards that help this. You could understand that he is the anti-power deck, because he runs Shadow Eyes, which in this game means your opponent cannot place any cards in defense mode, and if they try, their monster that they tried to put in defense mode goes into attack mode and loses their turn. Shadow Eyes is a brutal trap card that does not go away unless it's run over by another card. So having that somewhere in the back of the field is super effective, and a lot of cards need to be in defense mode to get their effects off, so Shadow Eyes counters them completely. With this, he has the anti-power deck, but he can still power himself up with his own deck leader, the Fairy King Truesdale, not by deck leader ability, but by the card in his deck. Fairy King Truesdale, when in defense mode, will buff his own plant monsters by 500 points, making his I would say his soldier, the Rose Spectre of Dun, super powerful. He runs 2 Rose Fairy Kings, and they are very good at buffing his other cards. However, if this isn't enough, he does have one ace in the hole, known as the Jirai Gumo, another monster, and one of the best monsters in the game for negating power. Anybody that battles the Jirai Gumo must do so with their base stats. They are not allowed to have any power increases other than field bonuses based on where they're standing. If it's not by field bonus, they will have their base stats. It is an incredible monster that has I have no idea why they would put it in the game. It's incredibly broken, and it fits his insect and power down deck perfectly. Even if you manage to survive the battle with Jirai Gumo, you still permanently lose any buffs you had on you. So it is a monster you must kill with just your base stats. If you ain't running a Dark Magician, Gaia the Fierce Knight, Blue Eyes White Dragon, you are in trouble. And Jirai Gumo can be buffed themselves, and they will not lose their own buffs. None of Steven's cards ruin themselves, they only ruin the opponent, including the Shadow Eyes. He's allowed to play in defense mode when you are not. He has one of the most effective decks in the game, however, it takes so long to get it running. Perfectly Ultimate Great Moth is very slow. Drawing the 2 Fairy Kings in a 4 card deck is very difficult, and it takes him time to get to that point where he can be all powerful, and you can be all weak by his power downs. So I would say he has the second, if not the slowest deck in the game, and requires a lot of build-up time. But that isn't to say that he isn't a threat. He could be the biggest threat in the series due to his cards, and I think he's going to be someone you're going to want to watch out for. Our next contestant in the Duelists of the Roses series is none other than Rick. Rick is known as one of our most tactical players. He takes his time and he studies his opponent's cards. He makes sure he knows his moves will keep him safe, and he rarely makes misplays that cost him duels. He is known as he has one of the highest records in the main series for winning most of his duels, if not all of them. I believe he only dropped 2 games in total, and he even defeated Miguel and me at our strongest. This man is not to be trifled with. He will play it slow and he will do it right with his warrior deck. Yes, he chose the Command Knight deck, which is also known as Tactical Warrior in Duels of the Roses. Command Knight didn't exist yet. So, with his Tactical Warrior and his warrior monsters, he has some interesting combinations. His combinations come in the form of the Swamp and Lava Battle Guards, which buff each other when flipped. He also managed to obtain Gaia the Fierce Knight. Gaia the Fierce Knight is one of his most effective monsters, and with his Curse of Dragon, he can even fuse into Gaia the Dragon Champion, giving him a field advantage in the mountains, which 3 of the arrivals do use mountain decks. So he is a very, very, very versatile opponent, but that isn't all. His warrior monsters also have a man-eater bug among them, known as Swordsman from a foreign land, which when destroyed will man-eater bug the opponent. It will destroy the opponent's monster. So if a trap card won't work, that card will. He also runs my favorite monster, the Dream Clown, which eternally spellbinds an opponent on flip. He runs Judgment Hands to create the Judge Man, he runs the Empress Judge, but more importantly, he runs the Blackluster Soldier. The Blackluster Soldier is a bit tough to summon because it does require the Gaia the Fierce Knight, but when summoned it does gain attack points when fighting dragons, which most opponents do have dragons, at least one in their deck, and some opponents' boss monsters are dragons, giving him a good advantage against a lot of the rivals. However, if that doesn't work, he has 2 other tactical cards that just break the game in terms of power. He can flip up the Green Kappa, which in this game copies the monster with the highest attack points on the field, even if they're face down. The Green Kappa can be seen as a huge menace, but if you have power down cards or anything that can negate its effect, then you might be alright. But it is known as the best copycat card. It is copycat, but it guarantees you the highest attack points, even if the highest attack points are on your side of the field. Not the highest attack points on your opponent's side, on the entire field. But if even that doesn't grant him victory, he has one last ace in the hole, known as the Sword Stalker. We all know Sword Stalker as one of Kaiba's best... one of Kaiba's cards from the first season that he loved to use, with a flat 2000 attack and no effect. But in Duels of the Roses, it keeps that flat 2000 attack and has a broken effect. For every monster in your graveyard, he gains 100 attack on flip. After flip, it doesn't matter how many monsters you have in your graveyard. So he is Shadow Goal, but with 2,000 attack points. And you can fuse monsters in this game to create new ones, meaning he has an almost limitless supply of graveyard monsters. It's limited, but it's a lot. That Sword Stalker can easily reach attack points of 4,000, 5,000, and even fight with the likes of the Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon. If all of these options aren't enough, Rick's brain is, because this man knows how to play tactically, and he is not afraid to take his time and show the world that he will win these duels through brains. Now, has that worked every time? We don't know. I think he's someone you really want to watch out for in this series, and if you like the type of person that is like, you know what, I may not be able to overpower you, but I can outthink you, then Rick is the one for you. Our final contestant in the Duelists of the Roses series and tournament is going to be one of the most interesting guys you can find. He is Arturo, and he chose the Patrician of Darkness deck, otherwise known as the Zombie deck. The Zombie deck is notorious in Duels of the Roses because it has great access to the card Pumpkin. And yes, Pumpkin is one of the most powerful cards in the game, if not the most powerful card in the game, for its broken ability of buffing all monsters on the field by 100 points every single turn. And Arturo has been known to use this strategy on all of us. In the videos when he used this strategy on us, we were unable to go after him. He even summoned the strongest monster in the game, well, I guess after 50 turns, with 7,000 attack points. Nobody can even come close to this man when it comes to power. And he doesn't just rely on power, he has tactics as well. He has his ritual monster, the Doku Rider, who by itself is not a very strong monster. It only has 1900 attack, so 3 monsters for 1900 attack does not seem worth it, until you find out that its ability is every step it takes, it turns that terrain into wasteland, which the zombies love. In other words, wherever that Doku Rider goes, the Wasteland follows. And with that, he has been able to set up his field in amazing ways that give him undefeated defense. So his defense stats are exactly what you want to see, and he is not afraid to play slow, which makes sense because he is, in my opinion, the slowest player in the game due to what his deck needs to do. If he needs power, he can rely on his Mammoth of Goldfine, the strongest zombie monster in his deck. The Mammoth of Goldfine has some very interesting things to it, known as its 2200 attack and the ability to fuse multiples of it with Mammoth Graveyard. He has been able to summon many of these things and has an almost, not limitless supply, a very high supply of mammoths, and he will come after you and destroy you after waiting for it to gain over 4,000 attack points. And even if you don't want to wait for him, he will make you wait, because he has tactical cards like Snakehair in his deck, which when destroyed, eternally spellbinds that monster. That means it is basically taken out of the game, unless you have a card to counter it. He also runs Fiend's Hand, which is his deck's version of Maneater Bug. When destroyed, he is able to destroy the monster that destroyed it. I would say that he has one of the best decks in the game, and that he has a lot of good tactics to go along with it, but none better than his spell card that he got through the deck. It came in the deck itself, and I'm drawing a blank on what it was. I think it might have been Dimensional Fissure or something. Whatever it is, I'll just tell you what its effect is. You can teleport your deck leader to wherever that spell card is, meaning he can always be safe by using it to run away when the opponent thinks they have got the deck leader in a bad position, or use it to go aggressively if he wanted to put his deck leader right next to yours, summon his boss monsters like the Mammoth or even the Doku Rider, and then attack you directly for game. He has been known to use both of these strategies, and they are both been very effective. Arturo's win-loss record has been mixed. He loses a lot of battles in the early game. If he doesn't get his pumpkins early enough, or if his opponents chase him down, he has no chance of winning. However, he has become very good at setting up a base, using his Wasteland, his Yami, his Doku Rider, and of course the Pumpkin's defense stats alone. With these cards, he may as well just grab victory from all of us, but we don't know. All it takes is a brave person to go in and punch him in the face before he can build up that power. But if you don't do that early enough, you are guaranteed to lose, because Arturo is has unlimited power. Honestly, he's someone you're going to really want to go for in the series, and if you just love zombie decks or seeing ritual summons, he's the man to go to. He is the most interesting guy in the series, and I don't know how he's going to do, but I hope he shows us what it's like to face the Pumpkin.